You're listening to the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to episode number 155 of the Just Japan podcast. What the heck, Japan? That's right. What the heck's going on? All right, guys. My name is Kevin O'Shea, and I am the host of the Just Japan podcast. I'm a Canadian who lives in Japan, and each and every week I bring to you a different topic about Japan. I bring on different people to talk about different aspects of life, different points of history, culture, pastimes, you name it. People come on the podcast and we talk about Japan. And this week, well, it's not any different. We're going to be talking about North Korea dropping missiles into the ocean. We're going to be talking about potato chip shortages. We got some big news from the Just Japan podcast and some other things. And this week, I'm really happy to have Mr. Andrew Higgins of Higgins in Japan on YouTube joining us again, as well as Jason from NapaJapan.com. That's right, the one place to get all of your Japan snacks. Both Jason and Andrew joined me for a great podcast discussion about a whole bunch of topics all about Japan. So stay tuned, and you'll hear more. Now remember, the Just Japan podcast is part of the Japan Podcast Network. That's right. Some great Japan content all combined into one awesome package over at JapanPodcastNetwork.com. Go check it out. The link will be in the show notes. Also, of course, you can find the Just Japan podcast on all major podcatchers. We're all over the place. Just Google Just Japan podcast. Yeah, we're there in that place that I'm talking about. In the Googles. Go there. Find us. All right, so the times are changing. The seasons are changing. It's getting freaking warm, guys. As I'm recording this on Monday, the 17th of April, man, it's freaking raining outside. Holy cow, the rain started, I'm going to say around 12 o'clock, at 12 p.m., so right around lunchtime. And it is now 10 p.m., on Monday evening. I'm recording this and it's still just coming down, and it's going to rain solid through the night. We've got wind warnings, wave warnings. I'm worried, and this has happened in the past because Kobe is located with mountains behind it, that when it rains steadily for a long time, so it doesn't even have to be windy or stormy, but just so much rain, you start to get the ground loosens up. So up in the mountains, the ground gets really soft and starts loosening up, and then there is the potential of landslides. So I'm hoping that through the night I don't hear any kind of weather warnings come out on my phone about, they call it, I think it's ground loosening warning, because that's scary. Not for me, because I don't live anywhere near Mount Roko, but for the people who live around the mountains, and a lot of people do. I suppose there's that fear of landslides, and heaven forbid, we don't want that to happen. That would suck. So it's raining. It's not a typhoon or anything like that. It's not typhoon season. It's just this massive weather system moving over Japan. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing. But I'm inside, so I'm dry. And I got wet coming home tonight on my bicycle. I cycle about 10 kilometers each way to work every day. I have full-on rain gear, but apparently that rain gear didn't work so well tonight, because when I took that rain gear off, I was pretty soaked through. So what are you gonna do? But when you're walking into your own home and you have a hot shower and all that stuff, it doesn't matter if you're wet, because you can easily clean yourself up and warm yourself up and all that stuff. So bad weather coming, or not bad weather coming, bad weather's here. I wanted to mention the I Love Japan project thing. Don't worry, guys, I haven't forgotten about that. Several of you have sent submissions, and that's going to be going into possibly next week's episode. didn't get enough, didn't quite have the support I expected. I know a lot of people are kind of, iffy about creating content. A lot of people who would just rather, consume the content, listen to the podcast, and it's a bit intimidating to get involved and maybe record something. But several people did, and it's going to be added, I think, to next week's episode of the podcast. There's going to be a section called the I Love Japan podcast section, or the I Love Japan recording section, whatever it may be. So next week's episode, I will add those and put them together in a nice little package. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Very fun. Very, very fun. So what else are we thinking about? What are we talking about? In this week's episode, coming up, where I interview Jason and Andrew, I wanted to actually mention this before the interview and then after the interview. Jason asked me to clarify. I'm ruining a surprise, but whatever. You guys are going to have a treat sent your way if you want it. Jason, who has been on the podcast several times before, he's up in Hokkaido. He runs NapaJapan.com, which is a great Japan snack company. You want snacks anywhere in the world, you can get them from Napa Japan. He threw out a great offer to you guys out there. Now, this is not an ad thing. Jason and we're not exchanging money in any way. He's a friend of the show, and he's just being awesome and offering you guys something, because so many of you guys, when you first found out about Napa Japan, you went out and became Napa Japan fans. That if you, and he says it in the podcast, and I'll give that information more at the end of the podcast, but if you purchase something from NapaJapan.com, a bunch of snacks, if your purchase is $20 or more, that doesn't include shipping, so $20 or more, and you add in the code JustJapanStuff, you'll get a 25% discount. Wow, that's a quarter. That's huge. So if you want to buy a bunch of snacks, Japan snacks anywhere in the world, from NapaJapan.com, and the value is $20 or more before shipping, and you type in the code JustJapanStuff, you'll get a 25% discount. Holy cow! Amazing. And this is purely a friends of the show thing going on, because Jason has supported my podcast a lot. He supplied free snacks for contests. I didn't even ask him to do that. It was like his idea, and I thought that was so cool. So so that there's a thing that's going to be happening. Hey, the podcast. Let's continue on with the podcast. I've been living abroad for years and spend a lot of time ordering things online. There are many things that my family and I want that we simply can't get here in Japan. I often want to order from stores in America, but unfortunately, many of them don't ship internationally. Well, there's a solution. Fish is Fast. When you make a Fish is Fast account, you create a virtual US address. You can order things from a large number of stores in America, and those products will be shipped to your very own Fish is Fast mailbox. Once all of your orders arrive, they consolidate them and send them to you wherever you live in the world. You can use the great Fish is Fast web app, where you can manage all of your incoming and outgoing shipments and review all the details before you decide to ship the items. Fish is Fast can even return the items to the store for you if you want. You save a lot of money by consolidating many orders and having one box shipped to you instead of making multiple shipping payments. You can buy from stores that don't ship internationally, and Fish is Fast will even hold your orders for up to 180 days free while you consolidate different orders. Now, no matter where you live, Fish is Fast can get you the things you need. Go over to fishisfast.com and check out what they have to offer. You won't be disappointed. Also, a big thank you to Fish is Fast for supporting the Just Japan podcast. All right, let's get on to the interview. Let's chat with Jason and Andrew about a whole bunch of Japan stuff. Okay, folks, welcome to episode number 155 of the Just Japan podcast. Everything you want to know about Japan? I don't know. Okay, Japan, what the heck? This evening, we get a panel discussion. We're talking about some important things and a lot of things that are not important, but they're fun to talk about. Joining me tonight, I have guests Andrew Higgins and Jason from NapaJapan.com. Guys, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having us
Hey.
back.
Yeah, it's great to be here again.
I've got some returning panelists, and that's always good to have people who are comfortable on the podcast because they've been here many times before.
But the first time, all three of us together, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, as always, there may be people who are jumping into the Just Japan podcast, and this is their first episode listening. So I'm going to ask each of you guys to tell us a little bit about yourselves, where the heck you're from, and what the heck you do in Japan. We'll go alphabetically. Andrew, how about can you tell the Just Japan podcast listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I've been living in Japan since 2012. I'm originally from the United States of America. And just to clarify, in case there were other United States that I didn't know about. I'm an English teacher here in Japan and recently moved, but still live north of Tokyo. And that's pretty much it.
And you're a YouTuber.
Yeah, I do the YouTubes. Do that, make videos. Higgins in Japan. If you search that on YouTube, you should find a whole host of wonderful videos that I make on a regular basis. So
that's right, a virtual cornucopia of Japan.
Yes,
information and entertainment.
Yes, I try to do a lot of information, try to help people that are interested in coming to Japan, what it's like being a teacher, kind of what you'll experience, and that sort of thing.
Cool. So check that out, guys. Higgins in Japan on YouTube. And Jason, can you tell the Just Japan podcast listeners a little bit about yourself?
No problem. Well, I don't have YouTube channels like you guys, but I do watch both of yours, so that's I recommend it to everybody. So yeah, please subscribe to those guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm originally from Vancouver. I moved to Japan Vancouver, Canada. There is one in America too, but Vancouver, Canada. And I moved to Japan in 2002. And what do I do? When I first came here, I started to teach English, but then I gradually moved to exporting goods. I'm exporting now candy and snacks, confectionery, those type of things. And my website, like you said, is Napa Japan. It's a palindrome, so you can spell it backwards and forwards the same way, Napa Japan, and .com. And what else we got going on here? I have a family. I have a wife and 2 kids. My oldest is now just entered high school, and my daughter's in junior high school, 2nd grade. And so that's about it. Yeah, it's been pretty busy. It's always candy season, it seems. And I was just doing an inventory today. Now I just realized I have 650 different items in store right now.
Oh, wow.
So
Holy
if you're
cow.
looking for Japanese candy, man, everything's in one place. I know there's lots of other people out there that you can choose from, but I tell you one thing. You check out our site, you're going to find stuff you can't find all in one place elsewhere. It's quite a vast supply of goods. So please check it out and tell us what you like.
Nice. Now here's the thing, guys. Now you all know, if you've been listening to the last few episodes, the Just Japan podcast now has an official sponsor. It is not Jason. Jason is a friend of the show. He's not a sponsor. I bring Jason on, and he talks about Napa Japan just because I'm a fan of him, and he's a fan of me, and he's been in the past. He's helped out with some contests, and I've actually got to admit, I've been really happy that a lot of people from my show have been able to connect with you and get awesome stuff that they love and are very happy with, and that kind of comes across on my Facebook page often. People are like, yeah. When I post something new, like, look at this crazy snack, someone will be like, I wonder if Jason has it on Napa Japan, and then you guys start, and then there's all of a sudden a conversation between you and that person. That's always good.
I definitely get a lot of, I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Kevin. And you do such a great job of not just promoting, what people do, but just, it's really cool.
Cool. All right. Okay. So, we got some things I want to talk about tonight. You guys both there?
Yeah. I heard a noise, so I thought somebody dropped off.
Me too. I heard a weird noise. So a couple of quick updates before we jump into our topics tonight. First of all, I want to ask Andrew about his recent move. You did a move in Japan.
I did.
you did a move, and you were just featured on an episode of the LT Insider podcast, weren't you?
Yes, yeah, I was on there for the second time. I was the first returning guest to the ALT Insider podcast.
Nice.
So,
which is part of the Japan Podcast Network.
yes.
So guys, go to JapanPodcastNetwork.com. And there's a few of us over there who are kind of making a bit of a collective to try to help each other out and gain momentum in podcasting. So there's the Just Japan podcast, the ALT Insider podcast, Disrupting Japan podcast, and the Two Player Select podcast as of now, and hopefully more to come. And we're just all kind of basically trying to form a community to help each other. Yeah, which
super
is
cool.
Great idea.
a cool thing. Yeah. So you moved. Where were you living? Where the heck were you living? And where the heck are you living now?
Well, so for the past 5 years, I was living in Ibaraki Prefecture, which is just north of Tokyo, for anybody interested in visiting, which I highly recommend. It's not that it doesn't take that long to get out of Tokyo, and you can see some really cool scenery, see a different side of Japan. That's really why I loved living there, and kind of why I wanted to stick around for such a long time, just because it seems like everybody wants to live in Tokyo, and I kind of like being in a more agricultural type area.
I suppose
like
everyone wants to live in Tokyo, except the guys on this podcast tonight.
Right. Well, yeah. It seems like a lot of people want to live in Tokyo, and while I love going there to visit and hanging out with people and stuff like that, just cost of living and just it's too big of a city for me. I think I like being kind of out here in the countryside.
I totally get
it's a different lifestyle.
I mean, I think.
And besides, Andrew, oh sorry,
Go ahead,
I was going to say, don't you have a car? Wouldn't that cost like as much as an apartment just to have a parking spot there?
Pretty much, yeah. That's the other thing too. Is like the place that I live now would probably be 2-3 times what I pay. The luxury of having a car in a city like Tokyo. You would pay probably like a month's rent just to park it somewhere.
And you'd never use it. You'd be just so
frustrated.
Well,
that's the thing.
It would be so much faster to take a train or a bus somewhere than actually take your car. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So after 5 years, I quit my job and changed to doing the same exact thing that I was doing, just
but for a different employer.
Right, just for a different employer. And made the decision to take my career in a slightly different direction and move to Tochigi Prefecture, which is just right next to Ibaraki Prefecture. And I now live in Utsunomiya, which is a city of about 500,000 people. So it's a big city, but still kind of away from Tokyo.
Mm-hmm. Well, no,
isn't that the gyoza capital or something?
Yes. Utsunomiya is the gyoza capital of probably, they would say, the world.
Now, you know what I'm going to say right there, Jason? That's some pretty obscure knowledge. I know the people.
Well, no,
the people of that city might want to friggin' crucify me for saying that. But how do you know that?
Actually, I had a friend who went through there years ago and told me about it, and then I saw a TV program on it, and they had like some really weird looking gyoza, like fillings and stuff.
There are hundreds of restaurants in town that serve gyoza. And yeah, it's a big deal. There are certain places that will have lines outside the door pretty much from when they're open to closed, because they're just known for having the best gyoza in town. So
wow.
And then you see that gyoza cook hopping into his Ferrari and driving home at the end of the night, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I moved and changed jobs and changed apartments and bought a car and did all of that stuff within a few weeks' time.
Didn't you already have a car?
So I had a car. It was a lease through the company I was working for at the time.
Okay.
And so I didn't. It was one of those things that I knew I wanted to purchase a car because I'd already been here 5 years. I was like, I just need to buy a car. But it was kind of easy to just, lease a car through them. And so, yeah. So when I quit the job, obviously I had to give up the car.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you
So
have to get your own
bought
car.
my own car. So now I own my car, and so that's one less thing I have to worry about. So
Cool. Okay, cool. You're in a new place, a new fresh start for the new year.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Jason, I'm curious
Yes.
with regards to napajapan.com.
Oh yeah.
I think the first time you came on the podcast, essentially it was an episode about Hokkaido because that's where
Yeah,
you
that's
are.
right. Yeah. You
Life,
bet.
I think it was called Life in Hokkaido,
It
because
probably was.
you're
Yeah.
up there. You're up there in Sapporo.
Yeah.
And so how has Napa Japan morphed and changed since maybe the first time you came on the podcast was probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it has gone through some changes in the past year,
You're
actually.
getting bigger, I assume.
Oh yeah, it's definitely growing every year. But I did a complete website change. It kept the same URL and everything, but uh, a totally different platform, selling platform, so it works better on mobile now, and
Okay.
any type of device you use, it's just so much easier to use than before. So yeah, it's stylish, it looks different, and like I said, more products, and yeah, it's really flexible now. So yeah, I'm going to be able to grow it even bigger. So
Awesome.
look out for more things to come. But yeah, before, yeah, I was selling on eBay, and I still do sell on eBay as well. But that's how I sort of started off. Even before I came on your podcast, that was like 10 years ago. So yeah, it just sort of grows, and people get to know you, and you do a good job, and people come back, and yeah, you just grow a customer base, and you keep on top of all the new products, and let people know about what's coming out, and recommendations and things, and yeah, it works out quite well.
Cool, folks. So if you're wondering, like, if you're a bit, maybe you're again, it's your first time listening. If you hear about all these like weird and wacky and crazy snacks from Japan, oh well, and you want to try them, well, you go to napajapan.com and you can actually buy them and order them. If you live in Canada, America, the UK, wherever you are in the world, and you can buy those snacks and they'll be sent to you.
Well, I've seen them. Well, Andrew actually, in some of his videos, he's gone into 7-Elevens and stuff and picked up some of the weird stuff, and has done his taste testing in his car. I remember seeing some of those, and those are fun. So people should go back. Not all of those are available anymore, of course, but they're still fun to look at what was available at the time. The thing about Japanese snacks is that it's so unlike other countries where they can be on shelves for 2-3 months and then they're gone forever, and yeah, so it's really a job to keep on top of all these products.
Jeez, yeah.
And just when you find something that you're like, oh, I really like this, and
then
then they
it's gone.
never carry it again.
Yeah, because it's just,
that's why I always tell people stock up, because you can combine your shipping savings there, and then you're going to have it at least in 3-4 months. And
yeah,
even now is a perfect example of that. Like, going into the hot summer months, a lot of people don't want to buy chocolate because, well, shipping from Hokkaido, there's not very many issues we've had with chocolate in the summer because it seems to go through indoor postal routes and stuff. And as long as your post box isn't outside, it doesn't really melt. The ambient temperature has to be pretty high. But if you're in Tokyo, and your chocolate can melt pretty quickly.
Well, actually,
it gets pretty high.
I'm down here in Kobe, and I like to mail gifts.
Yeah.
Gift boxes to my parents and stuff, or like family members, and I love to shove like a bunch of Japanese snacks in those boxes. In the summer months, I never mail chocolate.
No,
it will melt just like taking it to the post office.
Yeah, but up here it's a lot cooler, and I always say, like, you are running a little bit of a risk, July, August, but we really have very few problems with chocolate, and I think it's just because of the location. And Hokkaido, as you know, is most of your listeners know, is northern Japan, northern island. So we get average temperatures of 25 to 30 in the summer, not anything over 30 like you guys do.
Yeah, I'm sighing just thinking about
reminding you. Yeah, it's nice and cool up here, guys. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Actually, Hokkaido. Now, that's a nice segue, because I wanted to talk to you guys about some topics tonight. And folks out there in the podcast world listening to us, this week's episode is not about one topic. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things. It's kind of a relaxed panel discussion. I've got a few Japan experts on, professional experts, and the first
Okay.
the first thing I wanted to talk about it's something that's just blazing through Western media, and
Yep.
there is some reality to this. There is some truth to this. I'm actually been kind of giggling to myself reading recently a few Bloomberg stories about the great Japanese potato shortage, the potato chip shortage. Yes.
Yeah.
So
It's
so actually
travesty.
this is actually something that is literally affecting you, isn't it, Jason?
It is a bit. I do offer quite a few types of potato chips. But there a lot of the chips that we offer are like Pringles and Chip Star, and these are made not from whole potatoes. Well, they're made from potatoes, but it's like a blend, right? And then they press the potatoes, like that's how a Pringles is made, right? Or
that's why they're all the same perfect shape, right? Yeah.
Exactly, like Chip Star and Pringles. Those ones won't be affected because they can use any potato, really. But it's the ones, or even Jagariko. Is just made from a dough, I guess.
A potato puree.
It's a formed, yeah. But like a Jaga B is made from a real potato, or these Calbee potato chips. They're the biggest potato chip manufacturer, and shelves are like 50% empty, 50% full, however you want to look at it. I don't know what it's like down there.
No, it's actually, I got to admit, I mean, if you go to a typical supermarket down around here, I mean, you've got like a lot of the supermarkets have their home brand and stuff like this, which they're probably using like American potatoes or this or that. But
right.
So so to start off, a potato chip shortage. What the heck's going on?
Okay. So what happened?
What's the background?
Last year there was typhoons that came into Hokkaido and destroyed a lot of the potato crops, and they don't usually come up here. They are usually a tropical storm by the time they come up here, but they wreaked a lot of havoc last year. So there was a shortage, of course, because of that. And Calbee has quite a high standard for the potatoes that they choose, and they don't just take any import, I guess. That's why they're having to cut.
From what I read on the news, I think they said they use 70 to 80% of the potatoes that Calbee uses are grown in Hokkaido. Typically.
Yeah, well, there you go. So what they've ended up doing, I think it's now about 40 different brands of their brands that they, with flavors included, which they have had to suspend. And the most famous is the pizza chips, and the rippled pizza chips. They're delicious.
Those are good.
Killing me.
Yeah, I don't. They're not up here. We don't have any. But there's people online right now in Japan on Yahoo. There's a Yahoo auctions here, guys. People don't know that the rest of the world. Yahoo auctions is a thing, and
it's a really big thing.
And they're selling potato chip bags for about $11 US for a little bag, and people are buying them, snapping them up.
I read that on Bloomberg. They were saying like people are paying $15-$20 even,
or maybe even more. Yeah. For one bag of potato chips, it's crazy. But I have some supply right now, but not a huge supply. But I do have supply. So if you want to get your chips, better act quickly.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Yahoo auction site right now. Somebody's got 7 bags that they're trying to sell for 15,000 yen.
Well, $150,
which is like $150 roughly.
$150 for 7 bags.
I mean, that's how much they're asking. Like, there's currently no one bidding on it, but they're asking, and you get half of the pizza. You get the. Oh man, yeah, those pizza chips are really good though.
They're good, but man, they're not that good.
They're not $150 good.
But for some, apparently, I bet for some people, possibly they are. I mean, when you read all the fervor in the Western media, there's possibly people who are like, abroad, they're in America, they're in Canada, and they're like, oh no, I'll never have these chips again.
let's all sort of weigh in on it, like let the listener know here because they may not know. They just think maybe potato chips, but guys, these are like rippled thick potato chips.
Yeah, and they've got like
yeah, go ahead. You take it over from here.
They've got like
because there's more.
Yeah, they have like cheese on like baked on top of that. Like it's like it's not just a chip. There's like texture to it, and it's yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a very great.
They're damn good. They're damn good.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have a chip tooth. I have a chip tooth, not a sweet tooth. I have a potato chip tooth. So this is why this is like I'm kind of really upset with the shortage because I really like freaking potato chips.
And I really wonder how much like this Yahoo auction stuff is really like people just like bragging that I spent $20 on a bag of chips, and how much it is like I really just have to have these chips.
True, very true, very true.
Yeah, I don't even sell within Japan, to tell you the truth. I should. All my stuff goes overseas. But I saw the day of the potato shortage too. I saw a store that had about 100 bags of those pizza chips, and the next day they were gone.
Yeah.
It's
really interesting. Right, when you do walk into a supermarket, you definitely do notice a difference. There's a lot of empty spaces on the shelves where the Calbee chips would have been, or the Koyoke. What is it? The other brand, the number 2 brand in Japan, Koyoke.
Oh, I don't even eat those.
Neither do I. But
I just go. Calbee. I think it was a Pepsi. They own like quite a big share of Calbee now. So
do they really?
They've got a big backing. Yeah, they've got marketing power. It's a massive company. Yeah.
So there you go,
yeah,
folks.
I believe the Bloomberg article said that they own.
I don't think it's a majority, but they own quite a bit of
20%. According to this, is 20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, hey, there's a lack of chips.
But Calbee has, again, according to this Bloomberg article, 73% of the market share of potato chips in Japan. So that's a big number.
So it's pretty much a potato chip monopoly. We didn't even know
that.
We didn't even know that. This information didn't even come about until the shortage came around.
Hey, potato chip monopoly. That would be a good game. You could have like instead of Boardwalk, that could be your pizza chip, and then like Baltic Avenue would be the cheap chips that you were talking about. What was that one?
Yeah, the Chip Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cheap. But my kids love the Chip Star, regular salty flavor.
Oh, Chip Star.
Yeah. They love the Chip Star. Okay.
Well, they have Okay, go ahead.
No. Continue, sir.
You were just talking about Chip Star, and they had a flavor that came out a couple of months ago that's still out there, the lobster bisque.
Really? I never saw that one.
Yeah, it's still out. Yeah.
Lobster.
It's
Andrew, have you
bisque,
had?
Yeah,
I've not.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I just haven't done any like snack review stuff just because of the whole move and everything. Like, I didn't really have time to make videos because I was calling electric companies and cable companies and making sure things were changed over. But yeah, no, I would try that. I'll have to look out for that. I was at 7-Eleven yesterday and they had a chip. It was just standard sour cream and onion, but it was American style.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thick. What was the difference? American style.
I don't honestly know.
I went, ooh. I think, what does that mean?
Yeah.
American style sour cream and onion. BS.
Yeah,
Canada
they're just
style.
American potato chips, sour cream and onion flavored. They were what did the bag say? Oh, they're made in Oregon, or like potatoes from Oregon, I guess.
Oh,
so,
I see. There's actually potatoes from overseas. Okay.
Yeah, and there was a big stamp on the front that said made of USA potato. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe,
I guess
there we go. There's the marketing angle, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe that was something 7-Eleven brought in to replace, because I hadn't seen these before. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they probably would have done something like that. That makes sense to fill up the empty spots on their shelf.
Yeah, true. Eh?
It's like, let's just bring in, because like when I went there the other day, I was like, what potato chip shortage? Like, this shelves are full. Like, But yeah, I'm looking at my picture that I took, and I don't see the pizza chips. I see a couple other Calbee flavors and, the standard 7-Eleven flavors. But yeah. Huh.
Interesting.
So yeah, you're right. There is a potato shortage, and they say it could even spill over into like I was going to say potato fries, French fries, and what else?
I
Yeah,
wonder though, because if it's with regards to French fries, I know like the major brands like McDonald's and Burger King,
frozen, yeah.
But they get those from abroad, and
they would get those from.
I know that when I lived in Korea, McDonald's got all their French fries from New Brunswick, Canada, McCain's.
Oh, McCain's.
Yeah, because I remember. Because I actually remember seeing shipments brought to stores in Korea, and I can remember actually being outside of a shop while they were like unloading boxes from the freezer trucks, and it was like McDonald's, and there was a Hangul on the boxes, and it said McCain's frozen food, New Brunswick, Canada, and I was like, yay! Because I'd actually just moved from Moncton, New Brunswick, before I became to Korea to be an English teacher. I was like, yay, New Brunswick, potatoes, woo! Supporting back home. Yeah. So maybe I'm going to assume that I bet like McDonald's and Burger King and stuff, they get their potatoes from the States or Canada. But
yeah,
some of the
you're probably right.
Some of the smaller shops like the Moss Burgers or the Freshness Burgers, maybe they're doing the homegrown thing. I don't know.
That wouldn't surprise me. Most Burger wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because it's a Japanese chain, and maybe they're doing the kind of support local, buy local.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on from the potato drama
shortage of 2017.
Today, we're recording this on Sunday, the 16th of April. North Korea launched a missile several hundred feet into the air before it blew up. So they launched another...
What a turn, Kevin, from potato chips to Korea.
That's right, man. We're jumping into the deep stuff here, guys. But people are curious. People are curious. It's all over the news. It is all. I mean, I've been living in Asia since 2002 as well, and I lived in Korea for my first 5 years. And the one thing that I learned from my life in Korea was that when stuff happened, like geopolitical movements and politics in North Korea, saber-rattling, people all around the world got really upset and nervous and anxious, and people in Korea did not give a crap. They're like, man,
yeah,
nothing's gonna happen.
Even today on TV today they were showing, in Seoul their business as usual. So yeah, like you say, they're used to it, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, even thinking in Japan here, so like Western media, I'm getting all this like Korea stuff going on, like, oh my God, North Korea, the parades, missiles, anniversary of Kim Il Sung, blah 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 blah. In Japan, guys, you're both here. Do people in Japan really care? Does it really make a difference?
It seems like it's kind of like the same thing with earthquakes, unless it's like a really big one, because we're just hitting the 1 year anniversary of the Kumamoto quake and everything. But like anytime there's an earthquake that's over a certain magnitude, Western media just goes crazy about it. Or anything that's in like anywhere near Fukushima. And here it's just like, oh, it's just another earthquake.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, it's just another day. Like, and I remember my first year here, so back in 2012, I was sitting in the teacher's office and they had the news on, and North Korea was, testing one of their missiles, and I remember being like, oh, like this is something serious. Like I've never like experienced this before, and the teachers in the teacher's office were just laughing about it, and they thought it was hilarious. The one teacher I guess North Korea was saying that they were going to launch some kind of like satellite into space or something maybe with this rocket. And one of the teachers jokingly said, oh, maybe it'll give their citizens the internet or something. And everybody started laughing about it. And I was like, oh, so we don't take this seriously here. Okay. And so like from then on, I've kind of just been like, well, nobody else is freaking out about it. So like,
I won't waste my time doing this.
And you can sort of feel comforted with that collective sort of feeling. It's like probably if you transferred Canada and put it that close to North Korea, there'd probably be a different reaction. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know. It's I see what you guys are saying though. You don't really get a lot of people taking it too seriously, and I don't know about you guys. This one seems a little more fragile than ones
Well, no, it's
in the
moving
past,
that it's
though.
moving that way. Like in the past, again,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
all the years I've been here, like in Japan and in Korea, it was like not so serious. But I think now what we got going on is there is that question mark X factor coming from America, right? I mean, there was always a standard. You always could figure out, like, if there was a Clinton or a Bush Jr. or a Bush Sr. or an Obama, how they would, treat the Pyongyang regime, the Kim regime. But with, Trump, and I'm not going to try to get too political, but I'm just going to say there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that North Korea is hyping it up in a way that they've never done it before because of that. And
Yeah.
but
I think when
I'm still not nervous though.
No, me either. And like, I think we just need to send Dennis Rodman back over there because it seemed to work the last couple
Yeah,
times that he
he
was
did some
there.
good
So
work there, didn't he?
I don't know what he
Oh,
was
that's right.
doing, but it seemed to be okay.
The worm did good things.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm also under the same like thing with earthquakes. Like, people always ask me, "Oh, are you worried about earthquakes? Are you worried about tsunamis?" And like, it's not. I I can't control earthquakes. I can't.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
It's something I can't
it's
control. So
the
for me,
shogunai type thing.
You can't?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, guys.
So for me, it's kind of just like I can't worry about things that I have no control over,
That's
and
right. Yeah.
and so like that's how I view it. That might be very like naive of me, or I don't know, but like I just it's not that it doesn't bother me. It's just that I
Well,
can't worry about it because
I really think that. I mean, the way you're saying that, and the way I'm thinking, and I feel the same way. And I'm sure maybe Jason, maybe you feel in a similar way. Maybe we're kind of adopting this kind of attitude that people have here, and maybe you guys notice that people back home tend to be a lot more stressed out about a lot of little things that
yeah.
people here don't get maybe so stressed out about. And I don't know, maybe it's that kind of maybe it's that shogunai attitude that well, I
Yeah.
mean, I can't control that, so why would I stress out about it
Yeah.
and worry about it? Maybe I'll
Yeah, if
just
something
live my
happens,
life.
yeah, there could be terrible things that happen. It could be, maybe something will be settled. I don't know, but like you say, it's not going to be something the three of us are going to be able to do much about.
Right.
you know. So what do they say? Don't. Yeah, I'm not even going to come up with my saying. I'll probably butcher it all anyways. But something. Don't sweat the small stuff. I guess it isn't small stuff, but
Well,
Right.
the stuff you can't control.
yeah. But
Yeah.
North Korea, saber rattling continues. It's amping up, but I think, and I got to admit, you don't hear it. Like my Japanese colleagues, you just don't hear them talking about it.
And something
Well,
that
let's hope. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, let's just hope when this podcast airs, we're sitting in the same position and nothing's
me
changed.
too. So
Yeah.
so on Tuesday
We
when
don't
this bad
sound-
boy pops up, hopefully all will be well. Yeah, we hope. Um, okay, well, moving on from North Korea, let's move on to something more nice, more happy, more pink and white and flowery. Hanami season in Japan. Here in the Kansai region, I think this was really the last weekend for Hanami, and I finally got to do a proper Hanami party yesterday. I was really happy. Today, my school had its entrance ceremony, and it kind of like a finger in the eye as I'm wearing my suit going into the dark theater, literally across the street from the theater where we were doing like a kind of a hall. There was a massive park filled with hundreds of people doing Hanami. And it was like beautiful blue skies, and you see all these people drinking and barbecuing, and it's like, bye bye everyone. I'm going to go and do a ceremony. See you. um, So, Hanami season, you've just been moving, Andrew, and you live
Yeah.
up in Hokkaido, Jason. Have you guys been able to actually do any Hanami?
Well, let's see. 3 days ago, we had about 2 inches of snow, 4 inches, but
Oh, really?
Wow.
it's
cow.
gone. Yeah, we still have piles of snow in areas here, and of course, where they've cleared the streets, they put that all in one area in these like dumping grounds, and those are just mountains of snow. So those will be around until
The same thing
mid-June.
happens in Canada, like in Ottawa and stuff like
Yeah.
that, in Halifax. They have like certain like parts of like supermarket parking lots or different places that
Yeah.
have the dumping zones. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's like today was warm, was high teens, and I
Oh,
was out
really?
in the garden yeah, it was nice, and short sleeves today. It was a little windy, but no blossoms, no, even the buds aren't on all the trees yet. We're probably going to get our hanami in early May.
Okay.
Wow.
That's about normal.
That's
For
normal.
Hokkaido.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, so like I was able to go down to Ueno Park a few weeks back, or a couple weeks ago.
Did you go down for the YouTube Hanami party?
No, I went down like the day after with some of my friends. Yeah, no, I didn't go to the YouTube Hanami party. Anyways,
Probably more
no,
fun
like-
not to.
yeah.
I hear there's
yeah.
some division this year. I hear that like broke into like 2 factions.
I don't even want to.
Yeah, well, we won't really talk about because I don't
I'm
really
not.
know.
I wasn't involved with any of it, so I will
But I've heard
completely
We're gonna
stay out of
we're
it
gonna
as
use air
much as
quotes and
possible.
say community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it looked like they had fun. But me and a couple of my friends went down the day after. Actually, went to Ueno Park and actually got the same exact spot that we got last year, which was great. And just did the whole went to Family Mart and grabbed a box of umeshu and just kind of chilled out on these there's like some little wooden steps underneath the trees in an area of the park, and so we just hung out there for an hour or so, walked around the park. It was good. And then back here in town, it kind of rained on the days that they were having Hanami stuff. But then I went out this afternoon, took a walk down to the one temple that's near me, and there were still some blossoms out. But yeah, it was a good time.
For those of you who are wondering exactly, maybe you're new to the whole concept of Hanami. It's essentially, the cherry blossoms bloom and people go and have picnics in the park. And like, it may be simply like a picnic with family and friends. It might be a full-on, big-on drinking party. Or a mixture of the two.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot. I mean, Ueno Park is one of the biggest parks in Tokyo, and it's known for, Hanami parties. So there were lots of people out there, just like friends. There were co-workers out there. There were guys in business suits. Yeah, it was a mixture of pretty much every type of person in Japan that you could think of, just kind of all hanging out, eating food, drinking, just having a good time. Like it's really nice, and it's really it's really relaxing too. It's not as crazy and hectic as it might sound.
Nice.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
Or can they barbecue in Ueno Park?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, some parks I know they don't. There's a big park here in Sapporo, Maruyama Park, and they have a barbecue area.
Yeah,
and it's quite the scene with all the smoky meat and the beer, and then it's quite a nice.
When
touch.
When I was down in down in Kobe a couple years ago during Hanami season, we went to a big place. Kevin, you might know. It's like there's like a big tree, a big cherry tree down there that's like supposed to be like super old and like famous.
I don't know. OG Cohen?
That might be
where the zoo is. That park. That's a big park. I don't know.
I don't know. I'd never been there before, but
I live on Port Island. It was made by people 30 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. But we went down there, and there were people. I believe there were people cooking in that park. But
well, I mean, I know the park where I'm at, right? Like, I mean, I should say the park where I'm at, like where I live here on Port Island, or even through Kobe. there's no barbecue signs everywhere, and you'll see people barbecuing right in front of the no barbecue signs.
Yeah,
okay, so
I was told not to barbecue at the beach one time, and I still did it, and nobody stopped me. So,
well, no,
like,
I've literally seen Japanese people like with a full on big old barbecue right in front of the
yeah,
sign that says no barbecue. So
yeah. I think because there's a lot of people in Ueno Park already. There's a lot of food carts and stuff like that already.
Yeah.
That I think that it's just easier to just go. And plus, a lot of that food is so good anyways that it's like I can't make anything this good.
And and when you live in downtown Tokyo, you live in Tokyo, you're gonna do hanami in Tokyo. Does your average Tokyoite who lives in a small apartment have a barbecue?
Yeah, that's the
Right.
thing. Like, it doesn't take up that much space, but it takes up space. So
Yeah, I don't know.
for something that
And
you're
of
not
course-
going to use that often.
And of course, in Japan, nobody uses propane or anything. And like you may see people bring small propane units overseas to parks, but everything's charcoal here. And
Yeah.
like we used to call them hibachis, I guess they were called.
Yeah,
that
hibachis.
was the
Yeah,
brand.
well, that's what we used to
Yeah,
use.
like that. Yeah, so they're similar to that. The little
Yeah, that's-
units people bring to park. Yeah.
Pretty much what I have.
That's what I have one of those too. I mean, you put your charcoal in there, you put some lighter fluid on it, you light it up and stoke it, and off you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
All good.
Cool. Okay, so for you, Jason, it won't be hanami season for a few more weeks.
That's right. Yeah, it's warm, but when you still see snow and the streets are still dirty from all the gravel and the salt, they haven't cleaned them yet. So it's that transition period where there's not much greenery around, and it's one of the things I don't really like about spring. It's just that it's not visually appealing at this time for a couple weeks. But
sounds like when I lived in Detroit.
oh, is that right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're from the West Coast. You're from the West Coast, Jason. Go to the East Coast. It's all about salt and road sand.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all about
okay,
salt
so
and sand,
that's
man.
why.
It's all
Yeah,
about
in the summertime in Detroit, we just called the summer 3 months of bad sledding because it was just always cold and gray and just depressing.
Well, it's
it's kind of,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, Jason.
No, I was just talking about like Sapporo is quite nice with the seasons. Like you've got 4 distinct seasons, which is nice, but it's almost a 5th season, which is 2 weeks long, which is between where there's no snow and it's not really spring. And I just don't know what to call that, but it's a strange 5th season, and we're sort of in that right now. Anyways.
Nice. Well, I mean, hey, I can remember, like I said, back home and growing up in Canada, it's just like, yeah, that disgusting season where it was like winter is finishing, spring is kind of beginning, and it was just like a mess everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, with salt everywhere and that sand everywhere, and ugh. But don't have to worry about that here in Kobe. It's okay. All right, okay. So moving on from hanami. I'm going to for those out there in the Just Japan podcast land, and I know Jason knows, and I'm sure Andrew probably knows maybe. I'm dropping a bit of a bomb here for you folks out there listening. I made a video on YouTube. I posted it last night, which was the 15th. And you know what I'm talking about, guys. Maybe.
Yeah.
I
know what you're.
Yeah,
I know what you're about to.
So the Just Japan podcast, which will continue. But I'm leaving Japan, folks. Yeah, leaving Japan. Yeah, I'm leaving Japan. Myself and my family, we are leaving this summer. We're gonna be going. So. I'm just curious. I'm dropping this as I have a couple of guests on, and I hear that reaction, but I wanted that kind of, I don't know, I'm not sure if that's what I wanted, but
no,
but I understand. I understand. No, but yeah. So for you guys out there listening, you're gonna now hear about it more. After 9 years in Japan, my family and I are moving on to I like to put it, a new adventure. But essentially, yeah, we're moving on. We're moving to a new place. We're moving to China. Wow. No, and this was something I never planned, like China per se, but essentially, I was reading all the comments on the YouTube video I made last night, And a lot of people were very aware that I kept alluding to, like, or saying, I would love to go back to Canada. I would like to go back to Canada, that kind of thing. But I'm a teacher, and, teaching jobs in Canada are kind of hard to come by. There's a surplus of teachers, a massive surplus of teachers at public schools in Canada. But as an international teacher, I've been really building my resume a lot. And basically, after doing the research, I've learned that with what I have now, my credentials, I can be making substantially more money than I do if I'm willing to move. And so my family and I, we're moving to Beijing. Going to Beijing.
That's cool.
Beijing.
That's a good experience, though. Yeah, that'll be great for you.
It's good
to see another part of the world. Why not?
It's a 2-year contract. We're moving off to Beijing. My kids are going to be going to the school I'll be teaching at. It's an amazing school. So I'm really excited because my kids are going to have an education opportunity that I would never be able to afford on my own. I think the tuition at the school is about $30,000 US a year.
Wow.
And both of my kids will be going, for free.
That's awesome.
It's going to be pretty amazing. And then after that, we'll see what happens. There's always a good chance I'll end up. I, as in my family and I, we'll end up back here in Japan. But yeah. So crazy, huh?
Oh yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's going to be a good experience. I think no matter what happens, it'll be a good experience, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. and Jason, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, have you been there before?
Yeah, I've been to China twice. I've been to Beijing.
Oh, you have. Oh, so you know what it's like then, totally.
Well, I mean, I've traveled there. I mean, I don't think you really know what it's like when you travel per se. But I've been to Beijing.
I haven't been there, so I have no idea.
I've been to Beijing. I've been to Shanghai.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we know there's going to be a lot of challenges, like with regards to air quality and stuff. And we're doing the footwork and really kind of researching it. We know that it's mostly the winter months that are the ones that are bad for PM 2.5 and the air quality. It's not every day. There'll be like one day where the air is really, really bad. The next day, skies are blue. Cool. But I mean, we're gonna have a couple of air filters in our apartment. We're getting special masks, not the kind of masks that you typically see people wearing here in Japan. You actually have to get special masks that filter out PM 2.5, the fine air particulates. We're going to be really adapting a lot of learning. It's going to be fun. We're actually kind of really excited about that, but we're also, stressed and a lot of anxiety about moving. This is the only home I've ever had in Japan, and my kids have had in Japan. It's going to be an interesting transformation. But again, just to let you guys out there know, with the podcast, this will continue. And people are like, well, how will you do interviews? And I'm like, well, I do all my interviews using Skype. And there are things called VPNs. VPNs. That's what everyone uses. I mean, to be honest, I've got friends in China, and they all use YouTube and Facebook and Skype. And even where I will be working, they all use YouTube and Facebook and Skype. And, it's a reality. It's just a wink, wink, nudge, nudge reality, right? So, yeah. So, the Facebook page will be alive, all that. And to be honest, I mean, and people are asking me, well, how will you meet people? Like, how will you find people to come on your podcast? I meet everyone on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's how I find everyone for my podcast. So if I have Twitter and Skype, it's just, honestly, it's essentially business as usual.
Yeah. Or I meet somebody and I'm like, hey, you need to be on Kevin's podcast.
Exactly. I do have friends like you, and I have a lot of other friends who are like, Kevin, I've got a great guy who you should have in the podcast, or this really cool woman who is doing a cool thing. And yeah, definitely, like, a lot of people hook me up with people. So, I think in 155 episodes, I've only ever done maybe 4 or 5 face-to-face interviews.
And I think you should do some sort of live podcast for your leaving Japan type thing, like a podcast extravaganza where you have a whole bunch of guests on and we do a live stream. Or I mean, you do a live stream. I'm not inviting myself to this.
Well, I think
But-
I think you'll be invited if I do something like that. But that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, a pentacular, and then just a couple of weeks, probably downtime, and then we're back into it. I'll probably cash a couple of interviews, to help with the transition, and then but yeah. So leaving Japan, but the one thing so that's going to be in the summertime. But the one thing I was telling all the people on Facebook and on YouTube is that, I mean, hey, my wife is from Osaka. My kids were born here in Kobe. My wife's family all lives here. Like, we spend time with her extended family at their farm and this and that. Like, there's a big connection here. So it's not like, hey, see you later, Japan. Definitely. We'll be. I mean, actually, we'll be going to China in the summer, but we're going to be back here we're spending Christmas in Japan, and then and then summertime we're going to spend a week in Japan, and then spend the rest of the summer in Canada, and then go back to China, and then for Christmas come back to Japan. So like, we're going to be around a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're not-
I see. Because
you're not
it's
really
an international
leaving.
school. Yeah.
It's an international school, and when you and this will be some of the motivation for people there. They're wondering, like, why are you going to be doing this? Well, like, where I'm working, they're paying for me to fly back to Japan and Canada for holidays.
That's great.
They're taking care of that. Yeah,
That's great.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So it basically is.
It's a good gig.
It's a good gig. It's a good gig. And to be honest, it was really cool for those of you guys out there who follow me. And I've got my Birds of Kansai Facebook page, or my nature photography, and my geeking out on how you guys, if you really follow me, I love bugs like a madman. I'm into bugs and birds. That stuff actually really helped me get a new job. They were just like, wow. There's a term called lifelong learner. They're like, you're a lifelong learner. Like, I explained how I developed a passion for insects and entomology and ornithology as an adult. And that actually, things like that, guys, can really impress employers. They're like, wow, so you're a lifelong learner. You really want to get out there and just constantly learn new things and better yourself. And that makes you a better educator. So.
Yeah. I mean, I drew a picture of SpongeBob during my last interview, and it got me a job. So,
well, I mean, maybe you got some drawing skills, man. I don't know.
I hope so. I guess it seemed to work.
And did you really do that? Did you draw a picture of SpongeBob?
Yeah, no, totally.
Why?
Yeah,
how did that happen? How did that happen?
100%.
How did that come about?
So during the interview, the guy interviewing me asked me.
They're like, "Can you draw a picture of SpongeBob SquarePants?"
No, because
you want this job? Draw this picture.
I had been down in Ashia, which is down near you.
Yep.
I have friends that have a school down there, and I helped out a couple times during the summer. And one of the things that I did was I helped with an art class, and I always put that on my resume just because you never know. It's like, yeah, it was English, and I, taught some art to some kids. And he was like, oh, so you taught art? I was like, yeah, I can draw a little bit. He's like, well, what can you draw? And I had my notebook sitting in front of me, and I was like,
pretty mean
well, here we go. And I just drew a picture of SpongeBob, and he's like, oh, that's perfect. I was like, hey, okay. If you think it's perfect, then it's perfect.
Like, you're hired.
Now let's be honest, Andrew. Can you draw anything else, any other character, or you just lucked out on that one?
Well, so I specifically drew SpongeBob because I'll pick a character and just learn how to draw it fairly well. So then I can go into a classroom and just draw SpongeBob on the chalkboard if need be. But that's pretty much the only character I can draw. I have some of my own original characters, just caricature looking type things. But yeah, that's the only actual,
branded kind of character.
Branded, copywritten character that I.
Yeah. Nice. Well, hey man, it worked and impressed the people.
Hey, exactly, it worked. So
exactly, cool. You gotta go with what works. Hey guys, I don't want to keep you much later, so this is where we're gonna kind of wrap things up. So okay. So at the end of this episode, I'm going to ask you fine folks how people can find you on the social medias with an S. Andrew, where the heck can people find you?
If you go to facebook.com/Higgins in Japan, You can find my videos and stuff there, or if you just do a search on YouTube for Higgins in Japan, lots of stuff will show up. And I have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So it's all there if you wanna follow and like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So
And you guys should do that. You should subscribe and like and follow and all that stuff. And there will be links in the show notes to all of Andrew's links and thingies. So go to justjapanstuff.com and you'll find that. Jason, Napa Japan. How can people find you and Napa Japan online?
Well, it's quite easy. Napa Japan. I'll just spell it out so people don't mess up my spelling here. But NapaJapan, napajapan.com. That's the site. But on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I do most of my sharing on Instagram, but all of those, just Napa Japan is the / Napa Japan or whatever on all of those. Yeah, I don't have any YouTube or anything like that. Oh, but I just want to do one thing here, and maybe
Sure.
you can allow me to offer your listeners
Ooh.
a bit of a discount. Is that all right?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay, well, I'm going to put a code out there for any customer who listens to this, and it'll expire at the end of April, okay? April 30th.
Okay,
And
well,
you get
more motivation for me to get this episode out quicker.
Okay. I thought it may be a few days, so I'll give you to
this will be out on
the
Tuesday.
April 30th.
This will be out on Tuesday, which will be the 16th, 17th, 18th.
So you're going to get 25% off your order. Okay. That's quite a big discount. Okay, but you have to spend $20, but you get 25% off. Okay. So any order equal or above $20, you get 25% off. So what you need to do is at the checkout, put the discount code Just Japan Stuff.
Oh wow.
All
nice.
one word.
Oh,
Just Japan Stuff.
See, guys, this is so new to me. I'm writing this down.
I didn't tell you about this.
No, you didn't.
I just.
Awesome.
So, Just Japan Stuff, and you'll get 25% off your order.
All right, folks. So that's it. So basically, until the end of April, go to napajapan.com, which is a great Japan snack provider. And if you make a purchase $20 or more, and you enter the code Just Japan Stuff, you'll get a 25% discount. Holy moly. Nice.
And I hope we have lots of potato chips in stock for you guys. And I'll try to stock up if I can find them.
So get there and do that. All the links are in the show notes at justjapanstuff.com. And I'll pin this out in other spaces as well. All right, well, Jason and Andrew, thank you for joining me this evening on the Just Japan podcast.
It was great talking to you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on again.
Again and again and again.
Again and again and again.
Nice. Well, that's the way it should be, guys. All right. Well, take care and good evening, my fine Japan gents. All right. I want to thank Andrew and Jason for taking the time to stop by the Just Japan podcast. Guys, I really appreciate it. Again, go do a search on YouTube for Higgins in Japan, and you will find his YouTube channel and all of the goodness connected with it. All of the show notes for that will be at justjapanstuff.com. That's the home base of this podcast. Yeah. Of course, for Jason, go to napajapan.com. You can also find him on Twitter at napajapan and on Instagram as napajapan. He's a place to go. He's a place to go. He has the place to go to get all those Japan snacks that you want. So over the years, people have said to me, "Hey Kevin, can you send me snacks from Japan?" And I said, "No, because I don't have a business doing that, and I don't want to spend my own money. I don't have a lot of money. I can't afford to send snacks to people. Yeah, and I don't know how to set up any kind of like business doing that. So go to Napa Japan. Like I mentioned, and Jason mentioned in the podcast, if you go to napajapan.com, if you buy $20 or more in snacks, not including shipping, and you put in the code Just Japan Stuff, that's a 25% discount for you. Holy cow. Awesome. So do that. So go support a great guy from Canada. He's a fellow Canuckistanian, just like me. Go check out his stuff and check out his Napa Japan on Instagram and stuff. And again, go check out all of Andrew's stuff. And I want to thank Andrew and Jason for taking the time to stop by the Just Japan podcast. Again, all the links I've just been talking about will be at justjapanstuff.com.
Please hang up and try again.
All right, guys, just to talk about it briefly again, I dropped the bomb during the podcast tonight. Maybe some of you who watched me on Facebook watched my YouTube video I put out earlier in the week, and I'll put a link to that YouTube video and the one that follows here, in the show notes at justjapanstuff.com for episode number 155. I mentioned, guys, after 9 years here in Japan, we're leaving Japan, and will it be a forever thing? I don't know. I really don't know. I love Japan. Japan is freaking amazing. But for the last few years, my family and I have found ourselves in, we've been caught between a rock and a hard place. I found myself in a situation where I've been working myself nearly to death, to the point where it's been causing great stress for me, working 6-7 days a week and working very hard, but unfortunately not finding myself in a position where my family could even really live that comfortably. And other people, friends of mine, find themselves in situations where they are very comfortable, and others in situations that are not even where I'm at. Every family is different. Every person is different. We all have different stories. We all have different situations. Everything is different. But when you have a family, you need to think about them first. They do come first. They come before living in a cool place. They come before having cool adventures and stories to tell. They come before having a place where you can take cool pictures. The family comes first. Absolutely. Number one. And sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you actually do have an amazing resume, and people out there recognize that. So I'm going to be off to China, and my wife and kids will be too, for 2 years. Hey, yeah, exactly. It's not a perfect place, guys. China, I know that. And we've researched it well. We thought about this really hard. This is not a quick and easy decision. This has been months and months and months and months and months in the making. And we're preparing, and we will be prepared, and we're going to make the best of it. But dang damn it, there's a lot of good things that will be coming from this too, professionally, financially. But what I want to assure you guys, or let you know, like I mentioned in the podcast earlier in the interview with Jason and Andrew, but I want to say it again, in this kind of more calm and collect way. Don't worry, folks. The podcast will continue. The Just Japan podcast will continue, absolutely, because there are so many of you freaking amazing people out there who love the show, who support me, who support the show. But also, hey, my wife's from here, like I mentioned. My kids were born here. I'm always going to have a foot in the door here. I'm always going to be connected. And I may end up moving back to Japan after my few years in China, because my resume will be even hotter and more marketable. So who knows where I will be? I don't know. Maybe I'll be in Tokyo, maybe I'll be in Kyoto, maybe I'll be in Hokkaido. I don't know, but that's a possibility. Maybe I'll be in Canada. I don't know. But thank you guys so much for your patience and understanding. But you guys got to remember, the podcast will continue. It will live on. It will march on. And it'll be fun to interview people who are doing cool things in Japan, and then to give you updates about connecting with Japanese culture in Beijing, where I'll be, and also about, just like, Japanese cultural events that are going on, festivals we go to, things, festivals at the different events at the embassy, and blah, 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 blah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It'll be very cool. Oh, yeah. So there you go. Life's getting crazy. Now, of course, folks, you can find the Just Japan podcast, everything about it, over on justjapanstuff.com. Go like the podcast Facebook page, man. Everyone, facebook.com/justjapanstuff. Go like the Facebook page. Yeah, like it. There's like lots of links about Japan there. Lots of linkities. Follow me on Twitter at JLandKev, on Instagram at JLandKev. And of course, you can always email the Just Japan podcast at justjapanpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find me on YouTube at Busan Kevin. That's right. Go to youtube.com/Busan Kevin. I'm going to start trying to put up more regular videos before I'm outie. And then there'll be new content showing up there. Wow. From a new place. That'll be interesting, huh? Whoa. A podcast about Japan and a YouTube channel about China. Crazy! Okay, folks. My name's Kevin O'Shea. I am a Canadian, a Canuckistanian, living in Kobe, Japan with my wonderful family. I make a podcast. You guys listen to the podcast, and I'm really happy that you listen to the podcast. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. And I'll be talking to you real soon.